Hi there, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to Monday Night Movie. Today we're talking the 2019 version of Shaft. The 2019 version of Shaft was directed by Tim Story and stars Jesse T. Usher as John Shaft Jr. He's lived estranged from his father Shaft, played by Samuel L. Jackson, for most of his life, until one day a friend of his is murdered and he has to turn to his father for help in solving the crime in Harlem's criminal underbelly. This film did not do well when it was released. Critics bombed the heck out of it, and it only made $21 million of its $30 million budget back. So altogether, this movie was a failure. Now, does this film deserve to be remembered as a failure? Depending on who you ask. So this film's an action comedy. And the issue is the comedy is going to work for some people and not work for others. Basically the joke is that Shaft is politically incorrect and he doesn't care. That is the joke. And sometimes that joke works. Other times it's not as funny as the movie thinks it is. Let's try to figure out why that might be. Let's start with the acting. The acting is actually one of the fine points of this movie. I think Jesse T. Usher and Samuel L. Jackson are doing a fantastic job in this film. I think they play off each other really well. I really enjoy them in this film. So, if the acting's fine, what about the story? Well, we hit our first snag. The story's not that interesting, and not that funny, and not that comprehensible. So that's probably why the comedy doesn't work, is because the story's just not interesting. Yet, maybe this film could have worked even without that. So the only issue is, does the comedy hold up? Is the comedy written well? And again, at times, I think it's written really well. That might have to do with, again, Samuel L. Jackson's performance with some of the lines he's given. Now, I stress that I understand all the complaints that this film is making, though it's making fun of political incorrectness. It's not shaming it. It's actually kind of saying that Shaft is a little bit right at times. And I do agree with that complaint, but I genuinely think they're doing it mainly for laughs. So, though I understand that complaint, I don't completely agree with it. I do see some instances where they're siding with Shaft, even though they really shouldn't be, because what he's doing is wrong. Absolutely wrong. But I get why they're doing it. It just doesn't work all the time. So that's probably the main issue. The other issue I have with this film is the villain isn't that interesting. I mean, this is an action comedy. We want to see in the final fight at least a villain that's interesting to match up against our good guys. And we don't have that in this film. It's really just another standard drug dealer. Guys, at the end of the day, Shaft 2019 wasn't that good. Now, I'm going to stress this. I have never seen the other Shaft movies. This is my first Shaft movie. And if the other movies are like this one, I probably will never see them. But who knows? Maybe I'll look at them at another date. As for right now, I give Shaft a 5 out of 10. I stress there are people who will like this movie. If you don't mind politically incorrect comedy, in fact you actually enjoy that, then this film is for you. If you're a fan of savvy comedies or um, any comedy that's smart, I don't think you're gonna like this one. And that's unfortunate because I do think that there's a good movie here with the actors they have. Oh well. Anyway, I have the Blu-ray. Now, is the Blu-ray worth seeking out for those of you who want to see this film? Yeah. It comes with a decent making of documentary that comes in 3 parts, a decent gag reel, and some good deleted scenes. I really enjoyed the special features on this one. So I definitely recommend it to anyone who's willing to seek this film out. Well, next week we're fastly approaching September on this show. So it's time we start looking at some horror movies for next week. We start Monday Night Horror Show with Pumpkinhead. I'll see you then.